My son George just turned 13 this month. George is very bright, projected to get 8S or 9S in his GCSEs, and regularly achieves these grades in his mock exams and assessments. But he struggles socially and has been bullied badly in the past. Things are better now, but he isn't popular. As part of his PD class, he had to create a children's toy and give a sales pitch to the class. Last Friday was the presentation day, and George was really excited. He'd put a lot of effort into his toy and the presentation. But I got a notification saying George had been given a C3, after school detention, something he's never received before, as he'd refused to participate in class and didn't do his presentation. When I picked him up, I could tell immediately that he was upset. I asked him what happened and why he didn't do the presentation. He said he didn't refuse the presentation. When it was his turn, he asked to go later. His teacher said no, and that he had to do it then or get a C3. George said he couldn't do it now, but didn't explain further when asked, so he was given the C3. I kept pressing him, worried that maybe he was being bullied again. Eventually, he told me the real reason. He had a random erection just before his turn, and no matter what, it wouldn't go down. With that info, I think George's request was perfectly reasonable. He didn't refuse to do the presentation, he simply asked to do it a little later. Obviously, he didn't want to explain the reason in front of the whole class when the teacher asked him. His mom was really angry with him for getting the C3. I explained what happened and said I didn't think George was wrong. I said I'm not supporting the detention and would pick him up at the normal time. When I told his mom what happened, she looked disgusted and said something like, "Why did he even have one in class to begin with?" I explained that random erections happen, especially in early puberty, and they don't always relate to sexual thoughts, which is what she was assuming. She replied, "Well, I'm not sure that's true," dismissing what I said. So I told her, "You might not be sure, but I am." She insisted we needed to present a united front, along with the school, and that by going against her, I was sending George the wrong message. I asked why her way of handling it was automatically right, and why I should be the one to concede. It escalated into a big argument which we haven't had in years. She's saying she is going to punish him for refusing when it's her week with him next week, and that I am being an AH for going against her. Her mother texted me saying I was setting a bad example for George by letting him get away with being disrespectful to his teacher, which he wasn't even, just asked to do his presentation later. I respectfully told her she should mind her own business and that George was my son. But now I'm worrying whether I've done the right thing, and I need some outside perspectives.